So this is the second part of this chapter, and in this part we will discuss these all topics. That is, first the conduction of electricity by liquids, and then the chemical effects of electric current. Okay. Now,
Sir, your voice is breaking.
now the electrical conductivity of liquids. Yesterday we had discussed about the tester circuits, right? The three kinds of tester circuit: using bulb, using magnetic compass, and using a LED, right? From those tester circuits, we can easily check any liquid whether a liquid is a good conductor or a poor conductor. Okay, and from that we can conclude that the liquids that are good conductors of electricity are tap water. Okay, tap water means we are using a groundwater, or it can be water from even the sea water, and even the water from any water body. Okay, they all are good conductors of electricity. Then salt solution. Okay, salt solution means, if suppose generally the salt that is used is NaCl, okay, sodium chloride. If it is mixed in water, the water become the conductivity of water increases. Even hydrochloric acid, if suppose whose molecular formula is HCl, if this acid is mixed in water, the conductivity of the if it is mixed in water, the conductivity of the water increases.
So your voice is breaking again and again.
Just wait for a minute. So by adding this acid or the base like sodium hydroxide, okay, or vinegar, that is again an acid, it is used in cooking purpose. Okay, so these all are the good conductors of electricity. So what we can conclude, that generally solutions of acid or bases and salts, they are generally the good conductors of electricity. Okay, and the examples of poor conductors of electricity are distilled water, means the water from which these minerals and salts are completely removed. Then sugar solutions, kerosene, spirit, vegetable oil, etc. These are the few examples of poor conductor of electricity. Okay. Now here there was a table in your textbook which I had asked you to fill up to find the answer. Okay. So here we will be solving directly. We will be writing the answer of the last column, that is a good or poor conductor. Okay, and from that we can write, if it is good, the needle will show the deflection, and if it is poor, it will not show the deflection. Okay, so what do you think about vinegar? Anyone can answer. Okay, what do you think about vinegar? Vinegar is a good conductor or poor conductor?
Good conductor.
Good
Also
conductor.
poor conductor.
Vinegar is a good conductor. Why? Because vinegar has acetic acid in it. Okay, it has acetic acid, though it is a weak acid, but it has acid in it. Okay. Okay, next one. What about tap water?
Good conductor.
Good
It is a good
conductor.
conductor because it has various salts and minerals dissolved in it. Okay. What about vegetable oil?
Poor
It's a poor
Poor
conductor.
conductor.
Okay, it's written above. Okay. What about milk?
Poor conductor.
No,
Conductor.
milk is also a good conductor because
Good.
there is an amount of water in milk. Okay, so because of which the milk becomes a good conductor. What about honey?
Poor conductor.
Honey is a poor conductor. Okay, so this is a classification, or these are the various liquids out of which few are good and few are poor conductor of electric current. Okay, so hope it's clear to everyone. So moving on to the next topic, that is what are the differences between conduction of electricity in solid and in liquid? Okay, so there are differences in conduction. Okay, so everyone knows. See, if suppose I'm saying that there is a circuit, there is a battery connected with a wire, and there's a bulb over here. Okay, like this, and the current is flowing through it. So we know that in copper, that is a solid, the current flows because of electrons. Do you all know this? The current flows because of electrons, right? So it
Yes,
is written
sir.
over here that in solids, electricity is carried by electrons. This we know. But in liquid, is it carried by the electrons? No.
No,
In liquid,
I am.
electricity is carried by ions. Okay, I will explain you later what do you mean by ions. But just now remember this word. It is carried by ions. Okay. And second difference is when electricity is passed through a solid. Okay, like in this wire, it is passing through the copper wire, so it's a solid. So in that case, no chemical changes takes place. But when the electricity is passed through a liquid, then a chemical change takes place. Okay, so these are the two major difference between the conduction of electric current through solids and liquids. Okay, for example, it is given that when current is passed through a copper wire, so do we see any change in copper wire? No, the copper wire remains the same. Okay, the copper wire remains the same, but when the current passes through water, then a chemical change takes place. And what is the chemical change? The chemical change is, uh, as you all know, that water is also known as H2O. This is the molecular formula of water, right? What is the molecular formula of water? H2O. What do you mean by H over here? H means
Hydro.
H means hydrogen, right? And O means oxygen.
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 Oxide.
It is oxygen, not oxide.
Carbon
Oxygen. Okay?
dioxide.
So when the current passes through it, then this hydrogen and oxygen get separated from each other. Okay, and a gas is formed of hydrogen and oxygen. This we will understand. This we will study in deep. Okay, in detail we will study this. But now it is just an example that this kind of chemical changes takes place in a liquid when current is passed through it. Okay, so these were the two main differences between the conduction of electric current through solids and liquids. First is by here it takes place by electron, and here it takes place by ions. Here no chemical change in solid, whereas in liquid chemical changes takes place. Okay, now the next one. When we say that a chemical change is taking place or a chemical change has occurred, okay, by so means on what basis we can say that? So here it is mentioned the definition of chemical change or the chemical effects of electric current. So it is given that the passage of electric current through a conducting solution, okay, causes chemical reactions. For example, just now we had discussed various good conductors, so through which electric current can pass. So when the current passes through those good conductors of electric current, then various chemical reactions can take place. Okay, examples are formation of bubbles of gases. Okay, the different bubbles of different gases can be formed. Deposits of metals on electrode, means on a metal, some metals can be deposited. This you will understand later. And there can be changes in color also of the solution. The solution of the color may change. Okay, if any one of such thing is happening, then we say that chemical changes occurred, and it is known as chemical effects of current, because all these chemical changes occurring because of the current only. Understood? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let us understand this figure. Here a simple figure is shown. In this figure you can see there are two copper plates. These are two copper plates which are dipped in a solution. The solution is water. And you can see that these two both the copper plates are connected with what? With a battery. So the current is flowing from the battery to copper plate, from copper plate through this water, from water again to copper plate, from copper plate to wire, and from again wire it will reach the negative terminal of the battery. So here the circuit is complete. So when the current is flowing through this circuit, you can see a small bubbles, white color bubbles formed over here, right? Can you see this? Okay. This is an example of a chemical change. Here the formation of bubbles is showing the uh, chemical effect of electric current. Okay. This is also a same figure. The setup is little bit different. Okay. Here the battery is on the lower side and test tubes are placed above the electrode to collect those gases. You can see on one electrode oxygen gas is collected and on the other electron hydrogen gas is collected. Okay. There is one more figure. The third figure shows that if suppose two the free ends of a circuit, one from positive and other from negative, if it is dipped in a potato, if it is dipped in a means it, if it is inserted in a potato and if it is kept for few hours, say 2 or 2.5 hours or 3 hours, then a greenish spot is developed on the end which was connected with the positive side. Okay. And this happens with various vegetables because these vegetables has some chemicals due to which the current can pass. And here magnetic compass is used to check that whether its current is passing or not. The current passes through few vegetables. Okay. So it is also one of the example of chemical effects of electric current because there is a change in color. Here there is a change in color. Understood all of you? So this was the meaning of chemical effects of electric current. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, there are a few terms that we need to understand before understanding the next topic. And these are those terms. I'm explaining you this. See, you have to remember this figure. This figure you can remember, this one. Okay. So here, can you see these two rods, these two plates? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm explaining it over here. These two plates are known as electrodes. They are known as electrodes. Okay. Further, the electrodes are classified into two types and the names are anode and cathode. Anode and cathode. Okay. Here also in this figure also you can see this one is anode, and can you see by which terminal this rod is connected? The one which is marked anode, by which terminal it is connected?
Positive.
Positive.
Yeah, it is connected with positive terminal. So it is definition is very simple. The electrode that is connected with the positive terminal of the battery is known as anode. And similarly, what will be cathode? Cathode means
Which is connected to negative terminal of
good.
battery is
Yeah,
called
the
cathode.
electrode that is connected to negative terminal is known as cathode. That's it. Understood anode and cathode? Okay.
Yes.
And collectively
Yes,
they are
sir.
known as electrode, or common name is electrode, means any metal, okay, that is dipped inside the solution through which the conduction is taking place. Okay. Okay. Now this solution through which the electric current can pass, okay, these solutions are known as electrolyte. Okay, these solutions are known as electrolyte. This I'm explaining you over here. See, here it is given that, okay, first you understood the electrode. What is electrolyte? So the solution that breaks into its ions on passing electricity through it is called electrolyte. For example, if suppose we are having water, suppose we are using a water, then water will split and it will break into what? Ions of hydrogen and ions of oxygen. Okay. See, when they are together ना, जब हाइड्रोजन और ऑक्सीजन साथ में होंगे, एक मॉलिक्यूल होगा, so at that time they will not have any charge, but when they separates they acquires a charge. So hydrogen gets positively charged and oxygen gets negatively charged. I'm giving you one more example. suppose our solution is, we are using a solution of copper sulfate, CuSO4. Cu is for copper and SO4 is for sulfate. Okay, when the current is passed through CuSO4, so even this separates into Cu and SO4. Okay, even this separates into Cu and SO4, and even in this case the Cu forms a positive ion and SO forms a negative ion. Okay, so hope you are clear with the word ion. Okay, so ions are formed when the molecules gets separated with each other. जैसे हाइड्रोजन और ऑक्सीजन अलग हो गए, so now अभी हम उसको क्या बोलेंगे, आयंस बोलेंगे. सिमिलरली CuSO4 में Cu और SO4 अलग हो गए, सेपरेट हो गए, सो हम Cu को आयन बोलेंगे, SO4 को एक अलग आयन बोलेंगे. अंडरस्टूड? नाउ आयंस कैन बी पॉजिटिव, आयंस कैन बी नेगेटिव. So if ion is positive, okay, here you can see there are two words, anions and cations. Okay, तो जो नेगेटिव है ना, नेगेटिव वाले ये, the negative ones are known as anions. The negative ones are known as anions. Okay, और जो पॉजिटिव वाले हैं they are known as cations. Understood all of you? When a molecules get separated, they acquires a charge. So once they acquires a charge, then they are known as anions. Now further, anions are classified as cations and anions. Cations कौन? The one which are positive. Okay, and anions are those which are negatively charged. Here you can see a negative sign. Here you can see a negative sign. So one which are negatively charged, they are known as anions, and the one which are positively charged, they are known as cations. Understood? Similarly for electrode we know it's a rod, and what is anode and cathode? One connected with positive terminal is known as anode, and the one which is connected with negative terminal is known as cathode. And electrolyte is just a solution through which electric current can pass. Okay, and through all the good conductor, when the current is passed through it, these components, they get separated in forms of ions. Okay, and this is known as electrolyte. Understood all of you? What do you mean by electrode, electrolyte, anode, cathode, anions, cations?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now the next one is, what is electrolysis? Okay, what do we mean by electrolysis? So the effect in which, okay, it is again the same thing. The effect in which components of compound get split. The components of compound gets split due to passing of an electric current through it is called electrolysis. For example, अभी हमने देखा कि if we are having a water, if we are taking a water as a liquid, so water gets separated into what? Hydrogen and oxygen, correct? It gets separated into hydrogen and oxygen. So this is the splitting of components of a liquid. जैसे अगर water की बात करें, तो in water the components are hydrogen and oxygen, and when the current passes through it, it gets separated in 2H and O, that is hydrogen and oxygen. Okay. So this was first discovered, we can say that it was first known by a British chemist whose name was William Nicholson. Okay, his name was William Nicholson, and by experiment, what he derived, that if the current is passed through water, that is H2O, then bubbles of oxygen and hydrogen were produced. Here you can see an example. This is water. Okay, the bubbles of hydrogen and oxygen are produced at both the electrodes. एक साइड पे हाइड्रोजन होगा और एक पे ऑक्सीजन होगा. I will explain you later that on which electrode which gas would be formed and why. Okay. But what he discovered, or what he got from the experiment, that when current is passed through a liquid, the components of the liquid get separated. Okay, कि liquid के components separate हो सकते हैं, and this was because of the chemical reaction that is taking place. So he concluded about the chemical effect of current. Okay, and this process of separating of components by passing current is known as electrolysis. Remember this word, it is known as electrolysis. Separation of the components by passing of electric current is known as electrolysis. Okay. Hope you all are clear with this.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the next one, the electrolysis of water. Actually, it can be, the electrolysis can be done for different liquids, but here the very simple one is water. That's why it is explained for water. So all of you, okay. So what is given in this? It is given that when electric current is passed through a water, it splits into hydrogen and oxygen, and this is known as electrolysis of water. So the definition is very, very easy. Okay, now let us understand it, how why it is collected on which electrode. Okay, so see, now all of you be listen me carefully, it is very important. See, we know that if this is water H2O, say this is water H2O. Okay, so when the current is passed through this, when the current will be, okay, wait a minute, let me explain you in this figure. Okay, all of you just look at the second figure. Let this water, let the liquid be water, that is H2O. Now we know that when the when it is separated, means when the this water splits, it splits into what? It splits into
Hydrogen and oxygen.
okay, and hydrogen forms a positive ion. Okay, hydrogen forms a positive ion, whereas the oxygen forms a negative ion. Okay, oxygen forms a negative ion. Okay, so they would be separated in the water itself. पूरा water एक साथ नहीं split हो जाएगा, water के कुछ कुछ molecules split होके they will form the ions of hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, now see, now look carefully. This electrode which is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, it is known as anode. Okay, अब क्योंकि ये positive है, so it will attract what? We can say that it would be attracted by the negative one. Okay, like we have studied that positive and negative attracts each other. Okay, so that is why the bubbles of oxygens, that is the negative ions, are formed near the positive terminal. Okay, you have to remember this, that it is the opposite signs or opposite charged rods and ions are attracting each other. जैसे negative ion है, means this oxygen is negative, so it would be formed at the, or it would be produced at the positive side, or it would be attracted by the positive terminal, or we can say by the anode. Similarly, जो hydrogen है, it is a positive ion, so positive will be attracted by what? By the negative electrode, and negative electrode means what? Cathode. That is why near the cathode or at the end of the cathode, the bubbles formed would be of hydrogen, and near the anode, the bubbles formed would be of oxygen. Understood why? Because opposite charges are attracted by each other. तो जो एनोड है वो खुद पॉजिटिव है, सो इट विल अट्रैक्ट द नेगेटिव आयंस, यानी ऑक्सीजन को करेगा अट्रैक्ट. ओके, एंड जो कैथोड है दैट इज नेगेटिव इलेक्ट्रोड, सो इट विल अट्रैक्ट द पॉजिटिव आयंस, दैट इज हाइड्रोजन. And if a test tube is placed above these two, both the electrodes, then we can collect this hydrogen and oxygen gas. Okay, can you see any difference between the amount of hydrogen and oxygen gas? कौन ज्यादा है इसमें?
Hydrogen.
We can see that amount of hydrogen gas is more. यहाँ से यहाँ तक it is filled with hydrogen, and the amount of oxygen gas is less. Okay, it is why, because we know that when a single molecule of water gets splits, it produces 2 molecules of hydrogen whereas only 1 molecule of oxygen. So किसी भी time पे the amount of hydrogen is going to be double the amount of oxygen. That is why the amount of hydrogen collected is more compared to the oxygen. So understood everyone? Now let us read it once. Okay. So it is given that when electric current is passed through the water, oxygen gas bubbles are produced at the electrode connected to positive terminal. Okay, so here you have to remember कि oxygen कैसा है? Oxygen forms a negative ion. So it will be attracted by a positive terminal, that is the anode. Okay, and the hydrogen gas bubbles are produced at the electrode connected to the negative terminal. So you should
Sir,
remember
your
that
voice is
the
cutting.
negative terminal.
Sir,
Okay.
voice is breaking.
Okay, wait a minute. The next topic is electroplating. The next topic is electroplating. What do we mean by the word electroplating? So that is very simple. Definition is very simple. The definition means the process of depositing a layer of any desired metal. Depositing a layer of any desired metal on another material by means of electricity is called electroplating. Okay, I'm giving an example. You all, especially girls, you all might have seen the jewelries. Okay, jewelries which are having a shining surface like gold, but actually they are not made up of gold. Have you all seen this? Okay, they are actually cheap and they are used for temporary purpose. Okay, means for function, for any function, if we need, then we can use that one. Okay, so that is that plating of gold done over any cheap material, for example, say on aluminium or on copper or something else. Okay, that is done by using electroplating. So it is a, what it is? It is plating of some one material, that is of gold, on some other material. Okay. Similarly, you all have also seen the silver jewelries which are having a silver surface on it. Okay, it is covered by a silver, from the upper layer is of silver, and uh, actually the inside the material is something else. Okay, so this is done by using electroplating. Understood, all of you? Now how it is done, this we will understand now. Okay, here few examples, few figures are shown to explain the process of electroplating. Once let us go through this figure, then I will explain you in the detail. In the first figure, you can see that there is a battery. Okay, there is a key, that is switch, and with the positive terminal, a copper strip is connected, and with the negative terminal, a metallic spoon is connected. And here the solution, that is CuSO4, is used in the solution, means as a liquid. Okay. So what would happen when the current will pass through this circuit, through this liquid, na? Then what will happen? The copper from this copper strip, it will get deposited on this spoon, और इस तरीके से स्पून के ऊपर एक कॉपर की प्लेटिंग हो जाएगी. मींस द स्पून विल हैव अ लेयर ऑफ कॉपर ऑन इट. अंडरस्टूड? दिस इज द वेरी बेसिक आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग यू. ओके, वी विल लर्न इट इन डिटेल. तो इस तरीके से कॉपर की प्लेटिंग हो जाएगी किसके ऊपर? मेटलिक स्पून के ऊपर. Similarly here, see, this is Ag. Ag means what? It's a molecular formula of silver. It is a molecular formula of silver. Okay. Silver is connected to what? With the positive terminal. You can see over here, it is connected with the positive terminal. And what is connected with the negative terminal? A spoon is connected with the negative terminal. So थोड़ी देर में means when the and it is the here the solution is silver nitrate, AgNO3. It is known as silver nitrate. So actually the solution is used according to the metal that we are using on the positive electrode. जैसे यहाँ पे हमने कॉपर यूज किया है, so we used CuSO4. यहाँ पे हम सिल्वर यूज कर रहे हैं, so we will use AgNO3, that is silver nitrate. Okay. Okay. Similarly, in the third example, you can see okay. Similarly, in the third example, you can see that here AU is used, AU, that is gold plate is used, and on the other side एल्यूमिनियम ग्लासेस फ्रेम टू बी प्लेटेड, यानी ये चश्मा है जो कि एल्यूमिनियम से बना हुआ है, चश्मे का फ्रेम है, ओके, स्पेक्स का फ्रेम है जो कि एल्यूमिनियम से बना हुआ है, उसको प्लेट करना है. सो व्हाट विल हैपन, द गोल्ड की प्लेटिंग किसके ऊपर हो जाएगी, इस एल्यूमिनियम फ्रेम पे हो जाएगी. सो दैट फ्रेम ऑफ दिस ग्लासेस विल हैव अ कलर ऑफ गोल्ड. ओके, जिसे हमने मार्केट में बहुत देखे होंगे, चश्मे आते हैं ना, चश्मे का फ्रेम कोई गोल्ड कलर का होता है, कोई सिल्वर कलर का होता है. सो एक्चुअली दे ऑल आर इलेक्ट्रोप्लेटेड. वो एक्चुअली गोल्ड नहीं होता, उसके ऊपर गोल्ड की प्लेटिंग होती है.